What's up, everybody? Welcome to Game Moose episode 119. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Turford, alongside the ghost with the most, Drew McMillan.
It's just us.
I know.
It's the dynamic duo again.
Hey,
yeah.
We're also haunted by the ghost of the Broccoli Lachlan.
Yeah.
May he forever haunt these halls.
Yes, and also it's Easter, so Jesus, I guess. I don't know how that works.
That was the best you could come up with, huh?
Well, as a not religious person, I don't know. I just know I get a 4-day weekend.
Drew, this is the third Easter we've had to record a show on. And this is the first time you've ever mentioned Jesus on the show.
Well, it's very present today. I don't know.
Is it though?
Well, in the last 2 years, I didn't travel to the studio because the studio used to be in the back of my apartment.
That's true.
But this time I had to walk through all the Easter accoutrement and all the stores shut down and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's some stuff open, but
Yeah.
it is. So yeah, now it's on my mind. It's Easter.
Yeah.
Happy Easter. Hope you got some eggs or some shit. I don't know how that
exactly.
works.
Have a happy Easter.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about Easter. I'm kind of out of ideas.
I think the Passover is also a thing that's happening right now. That's a Jewish holiday. I'm not trying to diminish all these things. I'm just trying to say that I know that they're happening, but I don't know much about them.
Yeah.
I want to learn. I'll learn eventually.
I'm in the same boat.
I watched The Passion of the Christ. I mean, does that count?
I mean, it's something.
Yeah.
You at least did something.
Yeah.
Anyways, on today's show, we are going to talk about No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about No Man's Sky again? We'll find out later.
It's going to get real weird.
We're also going to talk about Dragon Quest XI because it exists, as well as the new expansion for the Elder Scrolls Online. But first, Drew, let's talk about our main topic this episode.
Yeah.
It's not really topic of the week because we're not doing the show old school.
No.
But it's pretty much topic of the week this week. So
it is the meat of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Before we get even into that, there's one thing I want to say, and that is that my
housekeeping.
Kind of. I have the thing I said I wasn't going to do. I'm doing. I made a decision.
Okay.
I'm writing a review for Sea of Thieves.
Yar.
It's 9/10 of the way done. It'll probably be up by the time you listen to this podcast. The reason why, and I kind of talk about it in the podcast, is I'm tired of the cop-out excuse of this is a living game and we expect changes and we don't know what the final form is. And I mean, the reality is, and like these games have, these styles of games have a long sort of life in terms of like, they expect you to be playing them over and over and over again. I think after playing at least 10 hours of the game, playing 10 hours of anything, you should be able to encapsulate at least most of the experience. And the reality is that the end game stuff for Sea of Thieves is really hard to get to.
Right.
Like it's a huge grind. Only one person has gotten there so far.
Yeah.
And it's quite contentious.
Yeah. Well, it's not contentious if you're like me and you come from the MMO background.
Yeah.
Because whenever a new MMO or a new expansion for an MMO always comes out and there's a new level cap, a similar situation happens where essentially a player was helped by many, many, many other players to basically boost him to the top to be the first person to be a legendary pirate, essentially.
So if you guys don't know what we're alluding to, it's exactly that, is that the first legendary pirate was born a couple of days ago. The first person to achieve that, which is you reach level 50 in the 3 different in-game factions.
Right.
You reach reputation level 50. And you do that by completing X number of quests. So we don't have a hard number on that, but it takes a while.
It's a whole lot.
And there's a way you can kind of cheat it, and that is that like you get reputation and rewards every time you turn in an item, but you don't actually have to complete a quest.
Right.
The reason why is so that you can do things like steal other people's ships and steal their treasure and still get rewarded for it, right?
Yeah.
That's so the Sea of Thieves kind of...
I was going to say, it's called Sea of Thieves.
In the spirit of the game, yeah. So, he got a lot of help by just joining other people's games, and then they would just give him all of the rewards, and then he would cash them all in himself.
Mm-hmm. So essentially he was like fast, like basically like turbo grinding, essentially. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, again, just attacking a whole bunch of mobs in World of Warcraft and then just grinding experience that way.
The problem with that, though, is like he wasn't actually doing the voyage part.
Right.
Right. Whereas like at least in WoW, you have to keep killing the same monster over and over
Well,
again.
that's not. But if you're in a group,
Yeah.
you have all your flunkies go and kill them, and you just stand there.
Right. And that's kind of sucks.
That's kind of what happened in this case.
Essentially, yeah. So I wanted to talk about that, what my experience with the game has been like so far, what you can expect if you're coming into it new, what the state of the game is right now, and what we think the trajectory is now. There's one piece of news, Sea of Thieves news also, is that they announced that the one planned thing they were going to implement in the near future, the one gameplay change, they have backed off of.
Yeah.
Which is there was going to be a death penalty. That is, if you died, right now the only penalty is if you died, you get put on the ship of the dead for X period of time, and then you respawn back in the world.
Right.
Right? There's basically a respawn delay. And then if you respawn away from where your treasures and stuff are, like you would have to corpse run back to them essentially.
Right.
Which is sort of standard MMO fare.
Yeah, or just standard for a lot of games as service too. Not just. I mean, Destiny is one of the only ones that doesn't do that.
Yes, yeah. Instead, what they're talking about is if you die, you would also get a financial penalty, depending on what the circumstances were. If you die, you would have to pay the captain in order to go back into the world.
Yeah.
And those circumstances varied. And then somebody said, well, that's not fair. If someone's like basically griefing you in the game, you just keep paying gold and gold and gold.
But they did say specifically that the death tax wasn't ever intended to count players.
For player versus player combat,
right?
Specifically. So it would be PvE stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Kind of like, again, in MMO is also when they have durability on items where you have to repair them. The repair cost you have to pay for when you die, but you don't have to pay for it if player characters kill you.
Yeah. So all this to be said is all a moot point, because in the end they just said, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah. Because a lot of people didn't like the idea of it.
Shocker.
So this is how I wanted to talk about that stuff and really lay it out and explain how I feel about the game. And the reality is, I think it's fair to give it a score, because the reality is they're expecting people to go out and buy this right now.
Yeah.
And like the game is in its current form the only way to play it right now. Right. And that might change any minute, but you can say that now about like any game.
Yeah.
They're changing so much. So I want to be able to have some commentary on the systems and how it works and so on. So you'll see that probably sometime tomorrow. I haven't actually decided on what the final score is, and I guess you'll find out. Go to the website.
It'll come to you. Yeah. That's the way it usually works.
I am on, I kind of have a feeling of what it's going to be. But yeah, I haven't had a sort of final thing. I need to write essentially the last paragraph of it and just go back and read it one more time.
7.9234576.
Yes, yeah, I will give it a just like what is that called?
We don't even do 7 decibel places on our system.
No, we don't. But in theory,
I was gonna say we have words attached to each 10 point system.
Yeah.
So that's usually what I go by. Is I'll be like, oh, this game is blank, and then I'll put a score somewhere between that.
Right. So we'll find out. You'll find out. So go to game-moose.com tomorrow, and you'll see it.
And it's always tricky to...
By tomorrow, I mean probably today for you.
It's always tricky to see review games and services as well, because, again, they are changing all the time. But then again, this is more just along the lines of just what you get if you paid $80 right now.
I think that there needs to be commentary on this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to say what it is and why I thought I should or shouldn't have bought this game, or what things I like about it, what things I don't, and what things I think work and what things I think don't, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty high level stuff going on in this game. There's some really complex things.
Yeah.
And how does that work?
And I know a lot of this talk has been sort of negative, but again, Sea of Thieves, we talked about it before and we won't go into it now, is just, there's a lot of good ideas there too.
Yeah.
So it's more just, we want to say what's good and what's bad. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's an art to discussing this stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert, not that I think of myself as Roger Ebert, felt that like criticism itself was a form of an art form in and of itself. So I'm kind of taking it from that approach, as I'm trying to write about this thing and what my experiences are with it. And it's not meant to be consumer advocacy, and it's not meant to be anything like that, and it's not meant to be a deconstruction of it. It's more just like, it's difficult to say. The review is its own thing, and it'll
speak for itself.
Yeah.
Before we go on to Far Cry, I should also mention as well, because Brock's not here to sort of throw it out there himself. Episode 2 is live of his Xbox show where they play a whole bunch of music. And it's really silly.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty dumb. And they dance.
So youtube.com/Xbox Canada, go check it out.
Yeah.
Also, Camille's on there too.
Yes,
so if she was here, she could throw that there.
Yeah, and of course, our friends of the show, P Maca and Green Skull, are also in all those videos.
This week it's Maca's episode.
This is Maca's episode, and there's some real bad hurdy-gurdy playing going on.
There sure is.
The hurdy-gurdy turns out not so easy to play.
No.
Yeah.
A little more complicated than you once thought.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about topic 1, which is Far Cry 5. We've talked about it a lot over the last couple weeks.
Yeah,
after the preview event and everything else. We finally got our chance to actually play the game at home. So
I've been playing this game since Tuesday. I think you've been playing it since official release as well.
Since Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah. Brock got a copy of a pre-release. We did not.
Right.
We're not cool like that. But that's okay because, we're going to take our time talking about it. I think, again, we'll have a review ready for sometime next week.
Yeah.
I've played a significant portion of it. I think I put it probably about 15 hours into it so far.
Okay, so that's more than me because I'm maybe about 10 hours in.
Okay. So Ryan, I want to hear, what do you think of the game so far? What's your experience like?
Well, as far as Far Cry 5 goes, I feel like as someone who's played every Far Cry game and who really likes the series, I feel there isn't too much that's really different. Yeah. Like, I'm not in love with the story, but to be fair, I didn't really expect to really to be a story-based game that I played just for the story.
Yeah.
Because, that's every Far Cry game is like that, too. Like, Far Cry 4, I can't even tell you, half the things that happen in that game. Other than Pagan Min is really cool, and he wears cool suits.
Yeah.
That's all I can really remember. But, it's more the stories that you tell from playing the game. So I have a really good story about, basically, I went to this camp where the militia were basically had Wolverines in cages. So I decide to put my C4 to good use. So I let some of the Wolverines out of the cages, attach remote detonation C4 to the Wolverines as they go and attack the militia guys. But then I just blow them up.
So that
along with the militia.
That's one of those it's one of their sort of next level barrel kind of things, right? Like instead of there just being a red barrel to shoot, there's literally animals in cages that you can open up and then they'll run out and attack enemies that are around.
And that's not new to Far Cry. That's pretty much been in every Far Cry game since Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
So for me, I've barely touched the story in the 10 hours I've played. I've basically gone to all of the different outposts and sort of taken out the outposts I've seen. And then I've been rescuing the fangs for hire and the guns for hire. I have all the fangs now, but I'm going after the guns as well.
Okay. So let's start at the beginning. What is this game about and what do you do? So it's an open world game. It very much, you could liken it to Grand Theft Auto in a way, but the missions are more location based and not about goal based.
Right.
So that is to say, it's get to a place and secure it or do a particular task, but those things are oftentimes limited to that little area.
Yeah. And they want you to do that too because, again, it doesn't make it so that you're just spending a ton of time traveling back and forth.
So, there's a lot of things for example, in Grand Theft Auto, there are a lot of missions that you start and it's race here, drive here, then do this, then do this, and do this. Yeah. There's not a lot of that in Far Cry. It's more of get to the area and it's clear out the compound, rescue the hostages, whatever. And
a lot of times too, even the driving from place to place, the game drives itself. You hop in the car and it drives you there.
Yeah. Yeah. And now there's fast travel in this game as well.
Yeah.
I would recommend early on in the game, avoid as much fast travel as possible. It's important. There's a lot of flavor and stuff in the world that you miss if you fast travel too much.
Mm-hmm. There's also just little things sprinkled here and there that you totally miss if you fast travel.
You won't discover cool little events and stuff. There's a lot of stuff happening along the road. I'll get into how this works in a minute. But basically the premise is you play the rookie deputy. Who you can totally customize. They can be a man or a woman and of all different nationalities and apparent, visual styles that are. I don't think style is appropriate.
Yeah, you got different hairstyles.
You can even different hairstyles, different skin colors, different facial.
Yeah, like
features,
it's not
all
like
that kind of stuff.
huge. It's not like a huge character customizer like Skyrim,
Right.
But it is like you get to pick and choose a lot of different things.
Yeah, yeah. If you wanted to be an Asian woman, you could be an Asian woman. If you want to be an Asian woman with blonde hair, you can do that. Like that's all options.
Yeah.
So you can make your character look like you, or someone you want to look like, or whatever you so chose.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's kind of funny that if you put a customization into it, but you're not seeing your character because it's all first person, and you don't even get like third person shots of your character.
No, you never see your own character, though this will come into play in the cooperative mode,
Right.
which we'll talk about later. So you play as this rookie deputy. The game opens with essentially like a big sort of like story event where they set up where you are and what you're doing. Essentially, you're and why you're taking on this doomsday cult,
Right.
and what circumstances lead to that. It's a little weird because they establish early on that you're stranded in this area,
Right.
and there's no one's coming to help you. But then like you're given a plane. Like,
Yeah, or helicopters or all kinds of crazy stuff.
yeah. This is like, well, I can just leave now.
Yeah.
I can go get the fucking National Guard.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Because in Far Cry 3 that was the conceit, but you were on a stranded island.
Yeah.
Like how were you going to escape?
This one, you're kind of like in an isolated valley in Montana.
Yeah.
I guess part of that is that they do have your fellow law enforcement officers have been taken hostage, so you do want to try to rescue them.
Yeah. Do you though?
I mean, that's up to you.
They're all terrible people.
They seem kind of like shitbags. Everyone kind of seems like a shitbag in true Far Cry fashion.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of a piece of shit. So then the game basically opens with, okay, here you are in the open world, and there is the cult, and the cult has 3 regions that are led by 3 quote unquote bosses or 3 members of the family, which are the leaders of the cult. So there's Jacob, John, Faith, and Joseph.
Right.
Joseph is the leader. You can't take him on until you've finished the other regions.
Right. You have to kill all 3 of them first.
Yeah. So, and what happens is when you go to the regions, you engage in missions, and there's like a meter, and as the meter goes up, you reach certain milestones.
And it's not even just missions too. It's just things you run into in the open world, like for example, prisoner vans or like random hostages at the side of the road and stuff like that. You can totally
doing those small things is if you get out and like rest, like you might see somebody like has been pulled over and like the bad guys have like a gun to their head and they have them tied up on the side of the road. You can get out, kill the cultists, rescue the person, and that will give you a little bit of progress.
Right.
Doing the big missions, like doing the guns for hire, like big story missions.
Yeah.
Like I did Grace's mission, Grace Under Fire, which is one where like you have to like she's like a sniper and you have to help her defend her church.
Right. I haven't done that one yet.
This one's in Jacob's area. I've been focusing on Jacob's area.
Okay.
Because he seems like the sleaziest of all of them. So Jacob's whole thing is like he has like a TV empire.
I was gonna say that seems cool, man.
He's like this. He's like a good looking sort of like swarthy kind of.
He's like a TV preacher.
He's kind of like a TV preacher. Yeah, he's got that kind of vibe. Yeah. And there's like yes, the word yes everywhere.
Yeah.
Because he's like just say yes. That's his whole thing. Mm-hmm. Faith, her whole thing is that she manufactures this drug called Bliss that they use to like help indoctrinate people into the cult.
Yeah.
A lot of the cultists are like drug addicts. And you'll see like these white flowers everywhere, which is what they use to make the drug.
It's also a way for them to just shoehorn zombies into the game.
Basically,
because if you take too much of the drug, that's it. You're basically a zombie.
Yeah, and like they're like these people that like feel no pain that come just shambling.
They're not actually zombies, but they pretty much are.
They behave like zombies. They're living people, but the whole idea is the reason why if you shoot them a bunch, they keep coming at you is because they're all drugged up.
Right.
And then the last one, or sorry, no, John's region is the one I'm talking about. Jacob's is the one in the north,
right?
Which is the one that was developed by Toronto.
Yeah, which is the one we played at the event.
That's the one where Cheeseburger is. I haven't got up there in my game yet.
Yeah,
I've sort of been like I said, I've been focusing on John Seed's area right now.
Whereas Jacob's area is where I started actually.
Right. So okay. Now, all that to be said, like you can tackle these things in whatever order. You can go do a random mission in each if you wanted,
which is very different from all the other Far Cry games. Because other than Primal, which sort of experimented with some of this stuff, but you still couldn't go to the colder areas until you had a certain level of cold gear,
Yeah.
essentially to survive the cold. I mean, it's the first time in a Far Cry game where they haven't segmented these areas where you didn't complete one area and then had a story beat that then brought you to another area.
Which again is kind of like the Grand Theft Auto model, right? Like Grand Theft Auto is like the bridge is out, the whatever for you to get to that area.
Or like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where you went to 3 different cities, but only when you finished the story in one city.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can tackle these regions in whatever order you want, do whatever you want. You know, and just and when we were talking to Drew Holmes and JS DeCont, like they said, like if you just want to go fishing, like the game's like, okay, you're fishing, like that's what happens. Like so, like the progress bar doesn't go up, nothing changes. You're not forced into story, like things don't escalate. But as you're fighting the cult and doing specific missions about fighting the cult, liberating towns and farms and stuff like that, that's when things get ramped up. That's when you'll start noticing things like there are these guys called the Chosen. They're like the harder of the enemies. They're the harder of the cult members.
Right.
They'll start appearing more and they'll start going after you.
And the types of Chosen are different for each region.
Right.
So like like in Jacob's region, it's dudes with helicopters.
Yeah.
But in John's region, I don't even know what
there's I mean, the only Chosen I've seen so far, or no, I've seen a couple. There's dudes in armored cars, and there's I've been attacked by like a guy in like a fighter plane.
Okay.
Because I've done a bunch of plane missions.
Yeah, and then Faith's area are dudes with boats.
Right. Because there's a lot of that's the henbane.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water there.
Yeah, and if you go in the water, the water's filled with drugs.
Right.
Which is no bueno.
Yeah, it's not good for you. Your vision gets all hazy and shit gets all weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So that's it. This is sort of like the basic.
Yeah, that's the
game.
overview. Although we should mention as well, there's an alternate ending that you can do within the first 10 minutes of the game.
Right.
If you want to.
You are posed with a particular choice, and if you don't act, then just like in previous games.
Yeah, Far Cry 4 is the only other game that did this. Where you could go have dinner with Peg and Min, and that's how the game ends. Spoilers for Far Cry 4, by the way.
Yeah.
And we won't spoil what happens here.
I don't even know exactly what the thing is.
I did it.
You did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't spoil it here.
Yeah, it's. I'm guessing it's at that big opening sequence.
It is.
There are a couple of choices during that opening sequence. So I wasn't sure which one it was.
There's one specific one in the church.
Right. Okay. I know what it is then.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and I guess the other part of this is just like in previous Far Cry games, you have guns for hire / fangs for hire, which is an idea that's born from Primal. But the reality is that the fangs for hire are like the guns for hire. They're animals.
Yeah.
They just don't have guns. They just
and they all have similar abilities to the humans as well. And
Yep.
there isn't too much that differentiates them other than they're cute, cuddly animals.
Yes. My favorite so far, Peaches.
I'm a big fan of Peaches.
Peaches the cougar?
Yeah.
Because I like doing stuff, like I like the stealth approach.
Yeah.
So yeah, Peaches, she's like a cougar and she can like sneak up on dudes and take them out silently.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
That's one of the reasons why I also like, I think her name's Jill. She's the bow and arrow girl.
Oh, yeah. It's the hunter,
Yeah. And she's really awesome too.
Yeah.
Because again, I also like to play stealthy
Yep.
when I play Far Cry.
I'm kind of frustrated that like, I love playing with the bow and arrow, but then like oftentimes I'll run out of arrows and I'll be forced to pick up a gun, and then finding another bow again can be tricky.
Yeah.
So, and then you also have like there's an upgrade path too. So as you do, as you play through the game, just doing various challenges will unlock ability points, and then that'll unlock various perks.
And it's very different from the progression in other Far Cry games, because in other Far Cry games, specifically in order to upgrade certain aspects, you had to kill specific animals.
Yes.
And then sort of craft all that stuff. You can still get like wolf skins, for example, or other things from animals, but then you basically just sell those at the shop.
Yes.
And you get money, and then you spend that on things.
There are like perks are basically based on getting perk points is based on doing challenges.
Yeah. There are also perk magazines in the world that you can also find that also give you points.
Kind of like as a little like kind of Fallout like, right? So so I have probably around 30 perk points. Like they came pretty fast.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
They come pretty fast at the beginning.
And there's no like it's not really like a ladder, right?
No.
Basically once you have enough points you can sort of pick and choose whatever abilities you want.
Exactly. Like your and my builds are probably very different.
Yeah. I have a bunch of stealth ones, but I also have a bunch of ones just around carrying guns. I get sick of having to choose between what guns I'm going to carry.
Yeah. Especially like one of the first ones I went for was like the second large gun slot.
Yeah, me too.
Essentially.
Yeah, me too.
So then when I pick up a rocket launcher in the world, I don't have to be like, oh, well, I guess this is my only weapon than my Magnum now.
I haven't found a Magnum or a rocket launcher yet. There's just a lot of like rifles and pistols.
I've been using the Magnum since the beginning of the game, and I love it because it is pretty much a one-shot kill on almost all the normal enemies.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the bow, and I like the sniper rifle, which is pretty good. Yeah. So that's sort of like the progression and stuff. The story.
Yep.
Let's talk about the story.
Here we go.
Yeah, I had high hopes for this story. I'm not going to lie. After talking to JS and Drew and getting a sense of what they were trying to do, so far it really hasn't felt like it's come together. There's like all these great opportunities to talk about some pretty heavy topics, and they kind of don't really go there.
Now, mind you, we should preface that neither one of us has fought any of the 3 cult leaders.
No, we
don't know.
Well, 4 cult leaders ultimately.
Well, I mean, like the one for each region. So we don't know exactly how the story progresses from that point.
No.
So I should preface that if the story, for example, does go in a deeper direction, we wouldn't know because we're not at that point.
Yeah, again, these are just like our impressions of the game so far because we haven't finished it.
Right.
But for example, you're fighting a cult.
Yeah.
In this game,
religious cult.
You're fighting a religious cult, and of course, it takes place in a part of the world where, well, not even. I don't even know what Montana's relationship. I mean, you're a person who you grew up in the fucking Bible Belt, basically.
I live in Montana, but
but Montana's not in the Bible Belt.
No,
at all.
I know.
Montana's in the north,
and
yet there ends up being this heavy emphasis on religion. Even
there is.
So there's the cult, and then the area I'm in, there's like Grace. Like I have to help protect her church, and basically the guy who's leading the resistance in John's area is a preacher, right? He's a priest. And like at one point, he wears like a flak jacket, and like at one point, like you're about to get captured, and he like shoots a dude in the head and rescues you, and it reveals that like the Bible that he's been carrying the whole time has a gun in it.
Yeah,
I'm saying this because it's not like that's a big thing, but it's interesting because like, here's an opportunity to talk about what are the very real impacts that religion have on society, and on the holiest of days in Easter Saturday. I don't know.
Easter Saturday.
Maybe that's
not actually.
Maybe that's why I'm thinking about religion. But yeah,
in fact, Saturday is the one day of the 4-day weekend for Easter that is not actually considered an Easter something.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish like it felt like there was an opportunity to have some commentary on the effects of belief and faith on our culture and our society at large. There's a great opportunity to have that commentary. So far, they don't really seem to be doing that for me. Right. There are a lot of cop-outs, like everybody's joined the cult because they've been drugged and kidnapped, basically.
I mean, those are the reasons I've seen so far.
Yeah. Like these people are essentially they're just criminals, and the reality is that the nature of belief is very complicated, and most cults out there don't start with people just being shoehorned into things by giving them a bunch of drugs and having them kidnapped.
Right.
A lot of cults start because people genuinely believe in them, right? They are looking for and need something to believe in.
Yeah.
And then like, how do we compare and contrast that to?
And we just haven't heard. I'm sure there are people part of this cult that joined because of that reason.
Yeah.
We just don't hear about it because the most of the story we're getting are from the resistance fighters who aren't really from that side of things.
So that's what I'm saying. Like there's an opportunity to discuss this and an opportunity to contrast it with, sort of the traditional Christian evangelicalism in the United States.
Right.
Like what makes a cult different than just a really charismatic preacher for, like a Baptist, right? What's the difference? And I'm not saying that there isn't one or there is. What I'm saying is that's a conversation that needs to be had, right? If you have these two people standing side by side with one another, but the reality is they behave in the same way. It's just they're just like, I'm doing this for freedom. I'm doing this for And
The American way.
Joseph's position is he's doing this for freedom, right? Like, so it doesn't, that I feel like so far it's been a wasted opportunity.
Right.
Like, you could really say some pretty heavy things, and that was really a really interesting time. I mean, especially like everyone's talking out there right now that one of the missions in the game seems to be that you were recovering the infamous PP tape.
Yep.
Which is like allegedly President Donald Trump.
I did that mission already.
There's a videotape of him urinating on women or having women urinate on him that the Russians have. This is all conjecture.
It was the Russians had it, and then somehow the cult got a hold of it.
Yeah, and so in this game, the cult gets it. Yeah, you have to go get it back.
Yeah.
So like they do talk about some quote unquote topical things.
Yeah.
But
to be honest, when I'm playing it, I almost wish with the way they handled the story that they didn't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
Almost as if like the little tidbits they talk about, because then the expectation wouldn't be that they were trying to say something with a lot of this stuff. The expectation was that no, this is just supposed to be a fun action game, and they're not really trying to send a message. Mm-hmm. Whereas when we saw a lot of the promotional material, like the trailers and whatnot, it really felt like they were trying to send a message like that. Whereas in the back of my mind, as someone who really likes Far Cry to me is a series of 80s action movies.
Yeah.
This is but when we saw the trailer for Far Cry 5 originally, I thought, okay, this one's probably going to be different. But in the back of my mind, I still feel like it's probably just going to be another 80s action movie. It's just Die Hard, essentially, is what Far Cry is to me.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's a cop-out
no,
even in and of itself. Because even at that, like, as goofy as Die Hard is, even Die Hard has some things to say about like the nature of capitalism and the role of, men in society. Yeah. Like Die Hard is a very important action film because it set up some very important tropes in action movies and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, the first Rambo movie, First Blood, has lots of things to say about the nature of like veterans, the role of the police.
It's also so different from every other Rambo movie.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
Like it kind of felt like felt like they were going to do a First Blood thing with this.
Right.
Right. They're going to be like, this is like an action film,
but
we've got something
going
to
be
say.
Different.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So far, it hasn't.
So far,
it's been actually just kind of goofy and pretty superficial in terms of how it deals with that stuff.
Right.
And that I personally find that disappointing. I don't know how you feel.
No, and again, I think it's disappointing because again, they were setting it up to be that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that. And part of me again had expected it wouldn't be, which is why I'm not as disappointed because my expectations were in check with what the game actually was.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, it's a cop-out for sure. Like it should have, again, either go in one direction or the other. Like this, they're trying to pick both sides of the road, and they should have picked one or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they chickened out. I think if they had gone all the way in one way or another, I think it would have been a better game.
Yeah, like it wouldn't have felt as weird.
Yeah,
when you get to the story stuff,
and it's certainly weird is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of like gameplay wise, I mean the game is fun to play.
Oh yeah. I just keep thinking about playing it like that. It's got me hooked.
It's got all that fun sort of like sandboxy, like emergent kind of gameplay things. The idea that you've got a bunch of disparate elements and that you get to put them together how you want, right? Like i.e. Wolverines and C4, right?
Yeah.
Like they may not have thought of that. They may have, right? But the whole idea was we're going to give you, a toolbox and you get to decide how you're going to approach this and what different parts of the world you're going to put together to solve your problem.
Right.
So like one of the things that I really enjoy doing sometimes is stealing a cultist truck, driving straight into a base, just guns ablazing, with like hanging out the window with my fucking Uzi shooting at them, jumping out at the last minute, throwing a piece of C4 on the back of it, and letting the truck crash into the middle, and then blowing it up and killing a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
I love doing that. But I also like sneaking up to the top of a hill, scouting out everybody, getting out my bow and arrow, getting Peaches to pick off like the dudes or the stragglers on the outside, and then shooting like an arrow through a dude's head, and then getting up and like punching a guy in the face who's like kidnapped somebody and then rescuing them. I love doing that too.
Yeah.
And rarely does the game ever say you have to do that. You have to solve this problem one way. Though there was one that I just did, which was the hog farm mission.
Okay.
Where they very specifically said there are a bunch of hostages. You have to do this stealthily, or they'll kill the hostages.
Right.
So that was actually the first time I'd really noticed that. Otherwise, and then also like dotted throughout are there things like there's strongholds that those are just kind of like. Those aren't really big sort of story beats. There isn't like there's no one talking to you or telling you have to do something.
Yeah, and they're basically the outposts from other Far Cry games.
Yeah,
very much.
And it basically you just go in there,
you liberate it,
you kill all the cultists, and then like that stupid banjo music plays.
Yeah. Oh, that banjo music's cool, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're saying it's stupid.
I don't feel like it's appropriate again for the part of the world that it is. It's
Montana. They like banjos there.
Do they?
I don't know. Probably.
I feel like the banjo is more of a South thing.
It is, but it also is probably like a northern rednecky thing.
I guess. I don't know.
I'm sure Ubisoft has researched this more than we have.
Have they though? That's kind of my concern. Like it feels like when you're playing this game, it feels like an outsider's idea of what the United States is like. In my impression, like it doesn't feel like. I mean, one of the things that I really want to do, I'm fortunate in that I know an audio director over at Ubisoft, so I'm going to call him up on Tuesday when we get back from the holidays, and I'm going to say, you need to do me a favor. You need to tell them very explicitly that when they're going to hire voice talent for a game, they cannot hire people who are playing people who have lived and grown up in the United States with such obvious Canadian accents. Period. Like,
have you ever been to Montana though? That's how they talk.
No. They talk like they're from the East Coast of Canada, not like they're from the Midwest of the United States.
Well, okay.
They do not sound like they're from Montana or North Dakota, which, I have some friends who are from like Edmonton,
Yeah.
I know that they sound like people from like Minnesota.
Right.
Like they sound like the Fargo accent.
That's what I was going to say.
These people don't have the fucking Fargo accent.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like the Dutch, the guy who's basically there's one guy who's sort of like directing all of your efforts, who's like he's like the voice in your head all the time. Dutch has a very, very East Coast Canadian accent. He sounds like he's from fucking Montreal. And it drives me. And he says, like, you got to get them out of there, man. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. Are you kidding me? I love Canada. I love the fact that we make games here. But, if you're representing a particular part of the world, you can't have people with Canadian accents.
Right.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, if they had set this game in India and then given everybody, like, Persian accents, it also wouldn't have made sense.
Right.
And in this case, it was obviously not a choice. They just sort of like either they weren't aware of it or they just turned a blind eye to it because they liked the voice talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Dutch's accent drives me fucking crazy, and a bunch of other people's and I can really hear it.
Yeah.
So as someone who's had vocal training, it really drives me nuts. Not that I'm saying I'm perfect. I know I have a Canadian accent, and
it's probably hard for you to do a Montana accent.
Like the don't you know,
because again, I think people from Montana speak very similarly to people from Minnesota because they're like right next to each other.
Yeah, like a lot of people from like the northern Midwest tend to like, because if you know people from Alberta and Canada, they have a similar accent as well.
Yeah.
They're all different, but they all have kind of like a common thing to it. What is it, my friend? There's a bunch of things that like I notice a lot, and I'm like, there's your accent again.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny. But yeah, it's certainly that's a thing. But like, I want them to have a little bit more authenticity. Not that has to be like completely real, but it really takes me into the game.
It's also hard to hire people, voice actor talent from Montana.
Totally understand
for a game like this, especially with the fact that every person is voiced, and I mean, there's a ton of NPCs, and they all got something to say to you.
Yeah, I totally get that. And then again, it's at that point, then you hire someone with non-regional diction, which is something that someone with voice talent should have. Right. Someone who can speak so that it sounds like they're not from a particular part of.
And again, I think some voices are better than others.
Yeah.
About that, it just like the main guy who talks to you all the time isn't really like that.
Yeah. So But I mean, overall, it's still an engaging game. I still want to keep playing it.
Yeah.
And nobody's saying it's bad. Flying the planes is really fun if you haven't done that yet.
Especially because eventually, there's a hangar in the north that you can liberate. That then you can buy planes.
Yeah.
That you can just spawn planes at the hangar every time, so you can fast travel there, spawn a fighter jet.
Yeah.
And then you can just take it and do whatever you want from there.
You can do the same sort of thing in the south. That's where you get the float planes,
Right.
And you can spawn those in, and and they have like a machine gun on them.
Because I just unlocked the fighter jet last night. And boy, oh boy. Very
really?
exciting.
That sounds like fun. I'm gonna have to do that.
It's got missiles. It's got machine guns. It looks like it's from World War II.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, overall, I still think that even disappointments aside, we both really like this game so far.
So far, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's not a perfect game, but yeah, it's definitely pretty good.
I do think it is, so far anyways, much more engaging than Far Cry 4. I can say that for sure. Again, I haven't played Far Cry 3 in a long time, and Primal I really liked, so I'm interested to see where I rank this among the Far Crys when it's over.
Yeah. Next weekend, I'll give this game a score.
We'll pretty much be at the end of the game
for the next cast. Yeah. And Brock should be
back.
He'll be back, and he should have
Things to say.
Yeah, he'll have things to say because I know he's played a bunch of it too because I've seen him. He's on holiday hanging out with his moms.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's managed to squeeze in some video game time. So good for you, Brock. Yeah. One thing we need to do is play this game co-op.
Yeah, it's true.
You're playing on
Xbox.
You're playing on the Xbox. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm playing on Xbox as well, so we can all play together.
Did you also play any of Arcade as well?
I've not played Arcade yet. No.
I have actually.
Yeah, okay, and do you like it?
I think there are some good ideas there, but all the maps I've played are really terrible.
Oh, that's too bad.
Some of them are really. There's this one where it's basically like this really small town.
Yeah.
And it looks really cool, but then there are two enemies on the map, and they're in like the water or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what the fuck is this supposed to be? Where's it like so yeah, it seems like there are some good ideas there, kind of like Snap Map for Doom. So I'm kind of hoping that there will be cool scenarios that come out of it. But we'll see. It could be a long time before we see people really, because the map editor is actually really, really, really intricate and detailed.
Yeah.
Like it would probably take like 40 hours of just sitting there and planning out and then creating your map.
Yeah.
And scenario.
Which sounds like, to me, it sounds like something I would want to do. Ryan, there's one more thing we got to talk about in this game, though.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the not elephant in the room. Because this isn't Far Cry 4, get it? Because Far Cry 4 had elephants in it. This one doesn't have elephants.
You never know.
It's got bears and things.
We don't know if there's an elephant.
That's fair. There may be an elephant in this game.
There are no woolly mammoths in this game either.
There's not a lot of elephants in this game.
Yeah.
If there were a lot, we would have seen them.
So what's the elephant in the room, Drew?
The not elephant in the room is that dirty, dirty word, microtransactions.
Yep.
Let's talk about that.
All right.
So there are no loot boxes in this game. Good news.
Yep.
Bad news is there are microtransactions in this game.
Well, basically one set of microtransactions, which is the same for like every modern Ubisoft game, which is silver.
Silver.
You can buy in-game currency to then spend on guns.
Like every single so essentially you there are a bunch of things, but basically there are shops where you can buy weapons, and you can buy better weapons and weapon skins and stuff like that. And every single thing has an in-game currency cost associated with it, and is locked based on where you're progressing in the story, because you can only unlock certain stuff based on meeting some certain milestones. Everything has an in-game currency cost, and then everything has a silver cost.
Right.
So you can pay either or.
Yeah. Now, I should mention as well, and I don't know if you knew this, you can actually get silver bars in the world.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that contributes to that amount. You can actually find them naturally, through missions or just exploring.
I haven't seen them at all. I've only
found a cave with like 300 silver bars in it.
Interesting. I've found a couple of prepper stashes, but they've only had like equipment and money.
Yeah.
Nothing. And actually, there's like the dollar. I can't remember. I don't know what they actually call it.
I think it's just dollar currency.
Basically, yeah. And you'll see stacks of money that you collect, and that gives you currency. And you can get currency as a reward for certain missions.
Yeah. Or likewise, if you actually take over an outpost or complete certain missions without being detected, you also get an extra dollar bonus as well.
Yeah. So yeah, and again, you can use that to spawn vehicles at garage locations, spawn aircraft at the hangars,
You can spawn boats eventually.
You can spawn boats in the Henbane. You can spawn just the different types of guns, and then you can unlock skins. And it looks like they also have like some abilities associated with them as well. So yeah, I haven't spent any of the currency in this game. I've got about $4,000, and I haven't done anything with it.
You haven't bought any new guns or anything?
I haven't bought any new guns or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I bought a bunch of new guns because I wanted like a sniper rifle and some other stuff. But again, I've mostly spent it on attachments. Okay. So like silencers or extended scopes and things.
I think that's probably where I'm going to go with that.
Because I have a silenced sniper rifle with my bow and arrow and a magnum.
That sounds pretty cool.
That's my typical loadout.
Yeah, that sounds like probably a similar direction I'll go to.
Yeah, because my two main guns are supposed to be like very stealthy because that's how I play. But then the magnum's for any time I go loud.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I want to say that the cultists themselves, a lot of them look the same.
Yeah,
a lot of them have like the crazy hair and the big beard, and they end up all looking the same.
Maybe that's just how people in Montana look, Drew.
Or that's how cultists look. I don't know.
There's also crazy ladies as well who don't have beards.
There are crazy ladies that don't have beards, but I feel like the vast majority of them is the dudes with the big crazy hair and the big beard. I see that guy like and he looks exactly the same, and I see him like 40 times a gameplay session. So. Yeah,
and then there's elites and armored guys. And
stuff it's like we're talking about the Chosen. There are flamethrower dudes.
Yeah,
those dudes are pretty.
The best
scary.
part about the flamethrower dudes is you can pick up their flamethrowers and then light other people on fire.
Yeah, and fire propagates in this game like in other Far Cry's. You can start grass fires and stuff.
I burnt down Herc's farm. I didn't like that very much.
You son bitch.
I just revel in chaos, Drew.
Yeah, I do enjoy blowing stuff up.
But the crazy thing is too, if you light an enemy on fire, you know what they do to you?
What?
They run at you and try and light you on fire.
Yeah,
they jump on you.
And then you've got like a put out fire button prompt. One of the things I just unlocked is I can walk up to vehicles and sabotage them, and then they blow up like 10 seconds later. I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we should move on.
Indeed.
Because we got some more topics, despite the fact that we're like 50 minutes into the show.
Yeah, we're short on time. We knew this was going to be the big one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So did you play anything else this week? Pretty much just Far Cry?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Far Cry and Sea of Thieves.
So I do want to mention Ni no Kuni 2. I'm on chapter 6, which is like 2/3 of the way through the game.
Okay.
I've kind of just wanted to just play Far Cry, though. My impressions have fallen off a bit on Ni no Kuni since last week, where I really liked the game. But as the game goes on, the kingdom building stuff, which you unlocked in chapter 4, is awesome. You basically build your own kingdom, and you can customize it however you want, and that's how you unlock certain abilities in that game. But the skirmish mode, which is like this like overhead like strategic army thing that they have, is really terrible. Yeah, I kind of wish that they didn't make it a mandatory part of the game because it makes me sad.
Yeah. A lot of people have been talking about that, and it's weird. I was not expecting that to be in that game at all.
Not me either until I got to it. I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I won't dwell on it because I do want to wait and talk about it more when I finish it.
Yeah.
But I don't like it as much as the first game.
Weird.
But I do like it. I do think it's worth playing, especially because the actual like RPG combat's a lot of fun. The characters are cool. The animation looks amazing, especially on a 4K TV. Like this game really, really visually shines.
Where's my boy Mr. Drippy at?
He doesn't exist.
I don't know if I can play a Ni no Kuni game without Mr.
But it's got
Drippy
little fort spirits from Princess Mononoke in it.
Yeah, those guys are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Drippy was everything to me in that game.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Drippy made that game for me.
Yeah. Other game I should touch on because Brock's not here to stop me.
Yeah.
MTG Arena. I should mention it.
Yeah. You've been playing that.
Played a whole lot this week.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot about the new expansion for Magic 2 that's coming soon.
Dominaria, which looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a real sort of like throwback. They're going back to like the old setting for Magic, and to like a lot of guys who've been playing Magic like Ryan and I for like 20 years.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun and exciting because it's a bit of a nostalgia.
Especially because you've got these saga cards that they've been releasing, which are enchantments that then tell like the stories of how the Magic world came to be.
Yeah,
stuff like there's this one like the Age of Ice, which is just
Ice Age.
Yeah, which is the story of Ice Age. The best part is it's got Merit Lage's tentacles at the bottom. Merit Lage, the demon from Dark Depths.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that expansion is that this new card set that's coming out is that Dominaria was the setting for basically the first like 15 years of Magic.
Yeah, and then so they never went back there again.
Yeah, there are a bunch of stories that were set in it, and basically the last one was, and now Dominaria has been destroyed. So now we're coming back to it essentially.
Yeah.
and what that world is like. And so it's a bunch of sort of again nostalgia things. Like there's one saga that's like the story of the Thran.
Yeah.
Who are like the alien ancients of the magic world, you know.
And the Phyrexians have their own history card and whatnot. There's one with beautiful artwork that I posted on my Twitter the other day, History of Benalia. Which because of the classic Benalish Knights. Yeah. And like it creates knights and the knights get awesome and then they all die. God, that artwork's so good.
Yeah.
But MTG Arena, the reason I wanted to touch on it is because just really quickly is that I think that the game itself has really got me hooked. Yeah. I love playing it.
Yeah.
I think that I want us to do content around it when paid transactions come in or whenever friends are able to play.
Okay.
Because I think that's when we should really talk about it more. But there is something that's going around in the community right now that a lot of people are upset about, which is the economy. Because in a way, one of the things that makes Hearthstone great and playing competitive Hearthstone what makes that work is that you're able to basically use dust when you get duplicates of cards in order to buy the card you actually need or the cards that you want. Or likewise, if you get a card you don't want, you can break it down into basically an in-game currency that you can use to buy the cards that you actually need.
Right.
In this game, there's nothing really like that. There's the wild card system, which you'll sometimes open in packs, which then allow you to pick, because each wild card has rarity.
Yeah.
So depending on the wild card's rarity, you can then buy like a mythic rare or a common or an uncommon or a rare that you need. But you don't get those too often. And like I've gotten out of playing for like 30 hours since they've implemented the wild card system, I've gotten 2 mythic rare ones. Now, anyone who's played competitive Magic the Gathering knows you usually want play sets of cards. You want 3 or 4 copies of your mainstay cards. It's very hard to put together a deck without that. So it's very much Magic Duels all over again in a lot of ways. So I'm hoping that they do add some stuff to it, but I'm really interested to see what they do with it. But again, the game's got me hooked. It's amazing. And especially if you were a fan of collectible card games, if you're a new or returning player to Magic the Gathering, I think this is going to be your jam as well. Like if you're a casual Magic the Gathering person, you will love this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, we should move on to our next topic.
Yeah.
A weird one. No Man's Sky is coming to Xbox, Drew.
Yes. Yes.
Finally.
What's that all about?
So basically, Hello Games announced this week that they're releasing a new patch called No Man's Sky Next.
Yeah.
Which, according to Sean Murray, quote unquote, is the biggest update to date.
Interesting.
This is Sean Murray saying this.
Yeah.
The man who told us everything else about No Man's Sky, of course. But alongside the next patch, they'll be launching the Xbox One version of this game. It's going to have Xbox One X enhancements like HDR and 4K, but we have no idea when this is coming out. Sometime this summer is what Sean Murray said.
Yeah.
The real question is, Drew, that I had for you, and the reason why I picked this topic aside specifically for you, you were someone who was super excited for No Man's Sky, who almost bought a PS4 for No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
What would make you what kind of things would make you want to play this game?
I mean,
at this point, do you, or is it dead to you basically?
It's such like persona non grata to me at this point. Like, there's so much negative press around it. At some point, I want to play it, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to pay full price for this game.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared that they'll launch this at like
$80. I'm not interested in paying that much for this game.
Yeah,
at all.
But if it was, let's say, if it was like $30 or $40.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, and I think like $30 or $40, I would definitely consider it.
Yeah,
yeah. And it'll be interesting to hear what other stuff they're adding to it.
Yeah, because we know they've added like base building and big changes to the economy and sort of added a bunch of stuff to each planet to make them more diverse and whatnot, which were all complaints from the original version.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what's in this update, but as I mentioned, we have no idea what the fuck's in this. But I'm interested to see what this game looks like in 4K. Because I didn't know this, but apparently they released a PS4 Pro patch last year that added that feature. So I'm kind of curious to see how that all works. So I kind of want to re-download it and see what's going on with No Man's Sky. Because again, it's a game that I kind of liked, but again, got very repetitive very quickly. And that was its biggest problem. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do next. But No Man's Sky, I also wanted to touch on it too, because what's going on with Sea of Thieves right now is so much what happened with No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Like it's basically the exact same situation that happened. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I don't know. See, I want to think of No Man's Sky more like Subnautica, which is a game I loved.
Like a survival game.
A survival game. But the thing that I loved about Subnautica is it had these cool story hooks in it.
Right.
You know, the story isn't perfect in Subnautica, don't get me wrong, but it's there, and there's a thing that's driving you, and there's a payoff.
There ain't no story in No Man's Sky.
There's no story in No Man's Sky that we're at least aware of, and there's not a huge payoff, right? The whole get to the center of the galaxy turned out to be a bit of a not exciting thing.
Spoilers for No Man's Sky. When you get to the center of the galaxy, the game just starts over again.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's the thing. All right, so let's quickly run through the news. We got 10 minutes to run through this. So we got Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age has a North American release date. We knew 2 years ago that this was coming to North America, and it came out last year in Japan. So it's coming to PS4 and PC on September 4th, with the Switch version that was announced last year coming sometime in 2019. So sometime next year. As far as the 3DS version, it will not be localized and will remain a Japanese exclusive, which is kind of crazy. And the North American release adds new features like a new hard mode, in quotations, overhauled menus, a first-person camera, and faster movement speeds.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because I really like Dragon Quest, so I'm really excited to jump into Dragon Quest 11. It looks great.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been a Dragon Quest fan, so I don't know. It's one of those things that people love these games, and if you love them, more of it is good.
In a lot of ways, it's just Final Fantasy, but weirder.
Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing about this particular one so far. To be fair, I haven't gone out of my way to learn much about it, but there's nothing about this particular one that really has grabbed me.
Yeah.
I said oh yeah, this is going to be the exception. This is going to be the Dragon Quest game I play.
The thing I like about Dragon Quest is that, unlike Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest took two different turns when it came to the PS2 generation.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy went completely different. Dragon Quest stayed exactly the same.
Right.
Which is what I like about it.
Okay.
So that's why I'm excited to play it, because again, I love me, I love my turn-based RPGs.
Yeah, I do too. So I mean, maybe I should give this a stab.
Yeah.
As it were.
Speaking of stabbing.
Yes.
Segue.
Good segue.
Ninja Theory have announced that Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is coming to Xbox One on April 11th.
Interesting.
This version will include Xbox One X enhancements on day one. So similar to the PS4 Pro version, there's going to be an enhanced frame rate version, which will run at 1080p at 60 frames per second, which is how I played it on PS4 Pro. And then you can also play the game at 30 frames per second in native 4K.
Cool.
Which is amazing. Again,
this game is beautiful, so that'll be really cool to see.
I mean, again, this and Shadow of the Colossus are the two reasons to own a PS4 Pro or an Xbox. In this case, now an Xbox One X with this game.
Yeah.
Game looks amazing. Game is amazing. You should definitely play Hellblade if you like games that are more just about the journey and less about the combat. Because again, the combat leaves a lot to be desired. But it very much reminds me of something like Journey or Gone Home or something like that.
It tells a pretty compelling narrative and does it in a pretty cool way.
Yeah. It's also unlike any other game you've ever played, especially when it comes to sound design.
Yeah.
Because the sound design is amazing because there's no HUD.
Yeah.
Your HUD is the audio.
Yeah.
And it tells you sort of behind you or in front of you, play it with headphones, especially if you have surround sound headphones, play it with those because the audio design is amazing.
Yeah, the positional audio kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, WB and Disney have announced Lego The Incredibles. It will arrive on PS4, Switch, Xbox One, and PC on June 15th, alongside The Incredibles 2. It's the same day as the movie is coming out. The game will have you tackle events from both Incredibles films, so not just The Incredibles 2.
Cool. I love The Incredibles. I like Lego. This seems like a good combo.
Yeah. If Brock was here, he'd probably be freaking out.
Yeah.
But he's not here. So, next up, THQ Nordic, God, this makes me sad.
Here we go.
Has announced Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition.
Yeah.
Remastered Edition.
That's just a bad... Guys, just stop it. Definitive Edition.
I was going to say, it's the same
right.
company that brought us Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition.
Yeah, you just knock that shit off.
It's too much. So it's coming to PS4 and PC and Xbox One sometime in Q2 of this year. The version will also play in native 4K rather than the checkerboarding. It will have improved lighting and shadows. If you already own the Steam version of Red Faction Guerrilla, this version's free.
Yeah.
You'll be automatically upgraded to it when this comes out, which is perfect because I actually have Red Faction Guerrilla already on Steam.
Yeah.
So there you go. And last but not least, Bethesda has announced the newest expansion for the Elder Scrolls Online Somerset, which takes place in the Somerset Isles. Duh.
Place I always wanted to go.
Yep, it's the home of the High Elves, of course. It brings a new campaign, a new guild, new PvE challenges, a new raid, and jewel crafting. It will launch on PC on May 21st, which is not too far away, but then it'll come to consoles later on June 5th.
Are you ready? Here's my theory.
All right, here we go.
The reason why they're doing this is because the next Elder Scrolls game is going to be set in the Somerset Isles as well, and they're setting things up.
People said exactly the same thing when Morrowind came out last year. Because think about it. Last year at this time, this is when Morrowind came out.
But there already was a game set in Morrowind.
Yeah, but they could do another game in Morrowind. That's what people were saying.
Okay. To be clear, they have said since day one that the plan was each successive Elder Scrolls game was going to take place in a different Imperial region.
Right.
Or a different region on the continent of Cyrodiil, right?
Yeah.
So the first one, Daggerfall, took place in Hammerfell, and the second one, which was Morrowind, took place in
Well, the
Morrowind.
second one was Arena.
No, first one was Arena.
Oh, you're right.
Arena's even before that.
Well, because Morrowind's the third game. So what's the second game?
Well, okay. The second game, Daggerfall, takes place in Hammerfell.
Well, there you go.
The third game, Morrowind, takes place in Morrowind.
That's why I got confused.
The fourth game was supposed to take place. The original plan was for it to take place in the Somerset Isles, but instead they set it in the Imperial Capital region.
Yeah. Tamriel.
Tamriel.
And then there was an expansion for that took place in the Somerset Isles. The Shivering Isles.
Shivering
That's
Isles,
why I got confused.
completely different place, and not on the same plane of
They're
existence.
all the same. It's
No,
fine.
not at all. And then, of course, Skyrim takes place in Skyrim. So there's a couple of places that we haven't been. Elsewhere, Black Marsh. So Elsewhere and Black Marsh are two areas that are right next to each other. Elsewhere is the desert region where the Khajiit, the cat people, are from.
Yeah.
Black Marsh is, as it implies, a swamp kind of like an Everglades kind of area, and that's where the reptilian people are from.
Yeah. The Argonians.
The Argonians. There's also Valen, which is where the Wood Elves are from, and then Somerset Isles. So none of these places we've seen in a main Elder Scrolls game.
You've only seen them in this game.
We've only seen them in
Because
Elder Scrolls.
they're all in the Elder Scrolls Online, because depending on your race, that's where you start.
And the Somerset Isles have become an important place because it is now the capital of the Alliance, which are the people that basically are it's basically the High Elves essentially are have become sort of like these new dictators. They're kind of like they're pushing the political agenda of the world.
Are you trying to say that this game's going to be all about taking down the High Elf dictators?
I think that might be a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
Because like one of the things is like they're denying that, for example, the Emperor is part of like the pantheon of the gods, right? That he like was risen and became a god. Whereas like that's sort of like a competing doctrine, and they're trying to like erase that from the religion of the world and stuff. So there's all this stuff that was set up in Skyrim, and I think that they're going there and like because they had originally planned again Oblivion. Was originally going to be set in the Somerset Isles. I think now they feel like they're ready, and that's where they're going.
The real question is, though, Drew.
Yeah.
Do we even see the next Elder Scrolls game anytime soon? Because
by all accounts, they're not even working on it yet.
Because it could be a Knights of the Old Republic situation where we'll never see a Knights of the Old Republic 3 because of the Old Republic.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
I think like Skyrim was way too much of a moneymaker. Skyrim was one of the biggest games of the last 10 years.
It still sold really well on Switch last year.
Yeah, people are still playing that game.
VR.
People still love that game. People are still like cosplaying characters in that game and singing the songs and making the weapons and they'd be a fool not to make a sequel to that game.
Can you believe, though, it's been 7 years since that game came out?
That's crazy, man. And they even said, no, we're not working on this game. They said that about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'd expect they're probably now working on this game.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, because Fallout 4 just came out 3 years ago.
Yeah. So we might hear something about that game. But typically, Bethesda has been in a place for a long time where they don't want to announce a game until they know it's going to come out within the year.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we're going to hear about it, there's a good chance it might not be this year. Right. It might be next. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's wrap up with this week's new releases. There's not many. So we got Crisis on the Planet of the Apes VR.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Allowing you to explore the world of Planet of the Apes in VR.
Is this related to the recent Planet of the Apes franchises?
It's based off the new because there was also
the Andy Serkis motion capture.
Yeah, because they had that. It's from the same studio that did the play motion, the one with your cell phones.
Okay.
Just like it's like Hidden Agenda, but was a Planet of the Apes game as well. It's from the same company that made that, so I'm interested to see what this actually is. Penny Punching Princess, it's out this week. It's from our friends at NIS.
Right.
Terra, the MMO Terra, is coming to Xbox One this week. God, that game is old too. That game came out in like 2009. I can't believe how old that game is. And last but not least, Drew, are you ready for this one? Are you a bad enough dude to rescue the president from ninjas? Because Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja is out this week on Switch. Have you ever played Bad Dudes before, Drew?
I have definitely played Bad Dudes.
Bad Dudes is amazing. It's an amazing arcade game. It's just like a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah. Are you a bad enough dude to rescue the president? That's the thing.
The president has been rescued, captured by
ninjas. Yeah, this.
It's the most 80s plot ever.
Yeah, it came out in the 80s. Ronald Reagan gives you a hamburger.
Yeah, you get to eat a hamburger with the president. That's your reward for being.
Yeah, it's a traditional side-scrolling beat 'em up, and it's just really fucking dumb otherwise.
Fun fact, the first boss in the game is Karnov, who many people don't know who Karnov is.
Karnov the Great.
Karnov was Data East's mascot for the longest time. He's like this big dude with no shirt, and he breathes fire.
Yeah. Basically, Karnov was recycled from another game.
Called Karnov.
Called Karnov.
Yeah.
Yeah, his sprite was recycled for Bad Dudes.
Yeah. He was also in a couple other Data East games. But this one's weird because in all the other games, he's like a good guy.
He's a hero.
But in this one, he's a villain. He's like the first boss. And then you fight like blue skin version of Karnov later as like a normal character, just like like Double Dragon or something.
The classic beat 'em up fashion, you fight a boss later on, he comes back as a regular kind of bad guy.
The best part is too, when you beat a level, Drew, your character throws their fist in the air and says, "I'm bad."
Yeah.
Or if you're playing co-op with someone, you have both your characters throw their arms up in the air and they say, "We're bad."
It is from the era where Michael Jackson's music video "Bad" was very popular.
It's true.
And as were ninjas and a lot of other things, this is probably one of the most dated games.
It's like a time capsule from the 80s.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So play that. All right. So that's going to do it for this week's show. But before we go, Drew, plugs go.
I'm at T McMillan on Twitter, and go to game-moose.com. Check out my Sea of Thieves review. It's a review. I give it a score. And I will likely write an update on it when we get some more updates from the game later.
Like maybe in like 6 months or something.
Yeah, when there's because there's planned content updates for June.
Yeah.
Is the popular rumor, and we'll see where this game goes.
Cool. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. That's TURFORD. You also find the Brock McLaughlin on Twitter at Brock McLaughlin or McLaughlin, however you want to say it.
Whatever you want to do.
I mean, he always says McLaughlin because it makes more sense as far as spelling goes. You can also find his website, brockstargaming.com. Mm-hmm. You can find our website, game-moose.com, as well as our videos at game-moose.com/video. You can find us on Twitter at game_moose_cast, on Facebook at facebook.com/game-moose-podcast, and on podcast services around the globe. Anyways, for Drew McMillan and the ghost of Brock McLaughlin, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 119 of the Game Moose Podcast, and we're out.